name is Dan Levinson, and I'm really happy to be here. I run a nonprofit called Green Village Initiative, GVI, and we're very active in the school garden movement. So I love the work that you guys are doing in the community gardens. I think it's so critically important. Just the 2 minutes on us is we're based in Westport, and one day we found out that Westport to Bridgeport is the biggest spread of relative opportunity for families and kids in the country. So it isn't that Bridgeport is the poorest place in the country, but the comparison of Bridgeport to Westport, Bridgeport to Greenwich is the worst. And many people in my town, when they reach a certain amount of success, they start going other places, to make change. Because Westport doesn't need to be really saved, Yale doesn't need to be saved. So we developed a mission of activating the wealthy towns around Bridgeport and doing all we can locally in Bridgeport to somehow try to be a game changer right there in our backyard. So we're really active in Ridgefield, Weston, Westport, a little bit Fairfield, Darien even. And we started with a sort of green village initiative, so environmental and sustainable village meaning local right here, and initiative meaning all we do is projects. We don't really have meetings, we don't talk too much. I couldn't sit down the whole time, I'm pacing over there. We're activists, and we're like right now passionately want to do something because we believe that in the doing is the exciting in the building and the mind changing. People don't need another plan. So we started looking at water protection, energy reduction, garbage, and food. And my background is business, so I really like to look at things that are efficient and are going to get me something really, really fast. Like how do we just get something done? And what we found within the first year is the food movement was really where it was going on. And so we've just ridden it. And I'm not a gardener. I don't know anything about this. My partners do, and they're great. So what we've done in the last 3 years, I think we built 30 or 40 school gardens. We put a garden in every school in Ridgefield. We're still kind of a wealthy town, but it's not that wealthy, so a lot of teachers live in town. And that's the key. There are these great teachers in the school system that really want us to garden, so we just said, here, we'll help. And the thing has really taken off. And then we put a few gardens in Westport. We found the wealthy towns are kind of problematic and tough. The garden had to look as good as the school. So the one Westport garden will cost almost as much as the 30 Bridgeport gardens that we're doing. So we committed to putting a garden in every school in Bridgeport. We're a third of the way through. Our champion there is the woman that runs the food service. And we first started by just like jumping in. We're just going to build the garden. And some people in any space, they want to wait and write the 100-page plan, and just my training is like, let's just do it. We're like the scouts. We're out front. We already know we're wrong, That's okay. And we're going to go and we're going to screw it up and we're going to learn so that the next people can come and do it better. Because there's such few examples in this space. And by jumping in Bridgeport and keeping our word and doing the little things we said we do, we're starting to find that building gardens is a really good brand building opportunity for a nonprofit to gain credibility. Then the mayor starts showing up for all the bills, and then the other people. And so recently they gave us an acre and a half for an urban farm. So we just got through P&Z approval, and this summer we're building an urban farm in the middle of Bridgeport. And we're still learning about the school garden. So we thought in the beginning the model was build a garden and leave out of respect for the schools. Like they don't need us to tell them what to do with the garden. And we found that the teachers are so busy and the this, that, the other thing, they really need support. So then we started like sneaking in at night and gardening, all that stuff, and that didn't work. And then we figured, well, let's try to pay a stipend to the teachers, so why shouldn't the garden have as much respect as the chess club or, God forbid, the football team, but you know what I mean. So that kind of works, and then the next step to that is the hub and spokes model. So in Bridgeport, we're going to have the urban farm supporting the school gardens. There'll be 2 on staff, the urban gardener looking in and 1 community builder looking out, and there'll be weekly emails, there'll be education, there'll be support, there'll be interns running around, and we think that's the next step in our evolution of how you take a town or a small city and get like systematically the whole thing cooking. And that's cool and that's great, and there's a lot of support for it. I think a lot of people are really interested in. You say urban farm, like we've all been talking about it for so long, there really aren't that many, around. And we were talking about Bridgeport. I'd never been there up until 2 years ago. So we believe in, just go and do it and get people there. And we have like 40 interns every summer, half from Bridgeport, half from Westport. We put those kids in a band together and mix them up. It's really good. But the cool thing is by jumping out and doing stuff and always being willing to be wrong, to keep learning, to be really open about it, then we can sort of help and inspire other people to do the same thing. So there's a couple other places. So in the Catskills where I spend time, they're now starting, like, boom, hub and spokes, gardens in a lot of the schools, and the Cornell Cooperative Extension is going to be the hub. And they were psyched. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what it cost. They didn't know whatever. So there's such power in the New Havens of the world and the Fairfield County of the world, is getting out and figuring it out and modeling it, and then in a way that it can travel and spread. And so in the same token, so I'm close with Melissa, who runs Common Ground. And, you know, and I love organizations when they turn from kind of looking down to what they're doing to turn to looking out to affect their community, like art centers in particular. And she, you know, and she said, well, we're ready to, you know, with Brand New Haven to really do schools. And so we're going to be the partner on that. And we're going to take all the mistakes we made in Bridgeport. And so we said, well, you need a hub, and you need spokes, you need a couple of bucks, this is what it costs, this is what the stipend is. And so what's so great about what they're doing is they are now going to be, at least in our background, the state-of-the-art, systematic, boom, and they have so much credibility that we don't have. You know, we're not, Common Ground is like the best. And the beautiful thing that they also want to do is then become a resource center for the whole state, starting with this area first, so that our real goal is to put a garden in every school in the state of Connecticut, and to get the state leaders to understand that that's good for them. Whether it's the health people, the environmental people, the business people, the branding tourism people. So we're having meetings with the tourism people, say, brand yourself. You know, there's only 1,000 schools, we can do them for 1,000, you know, only $1 million out of their budget or out of some big foundation to do this statewide. And it's a very powerful thing, school gardens. It's like a deal breaker, it's a changer, it's visible, it's beautiful, it's health and food and fun. The new guy that took over the Board of Ed in Bridgeport, the big shot who turned around Chicago, he wants us to do the gardens because he thinks it's going to reduce his graffiti cleanup costs. Because when there's a garden, people pay attention, people care, they don't trash the school. I mean, there's so many reasons to come to local food, and there's so many reasons to come to a school garden. But it's just not that easy just putting it out there either. So that's why we're working on the systems and the structure to do it where it really has the best shot to just fly. And right now, Common Ground and GDI, I think that's, you know, what's going to happen here in the next year is going to be really, really exciting. Principally because they're so great and we've made so many mistakes that together we might do something right. So that's it.
Thank you, Dan.